Dear colleagues, we are starting soon. Good morning, dear colleagues. We are now resuming our examination of item 5C. As you remember yesterday, several committee members had requested the floor before the adjournment, the meeting yesterday evening. I will ask the Secretariat to read the list of committee members that had requested the floor. Mr. Director.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Maybe before I recall the list of the committee members who are supposed to intervene this morning, I would like to, I'm asking my team to put on the screen the information which I would like to share with you regarding the Wi-Fi connection in the room, starting from today. You will be provided also in your desk with the information regarding the new Wi-Fi, which actually is very simple, as you can see on the screen, with a very simple passcode. So the team will also be distributing this new Wi-Fi in the room. And we apologize for some of the technicalities, but we're trying to solve them. Thank you. Now, coming back to the list, I wish to recall that the following should take the floor this morning as agreed and decided by the chairperson yesterday. Zambia, Mali, Belgium, and Qatar. And then they will be followed by observers: Armenia, United Kingdom, Ukraine, and Paraguay. And I wish to recall that the list was closed yesterday. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Zambia, you have the floor.
Chair, the issue which Zambia wanted clarification was just on the budget which was put there, and it was said that it was starting in 2022, but the issue was overtaken by events. I think the clarification was done, so Zambia is okay.
Thank you very much. So, Mari, you have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ma délégation tient à féliciter très chaleureusement le présentateur, M. Mohamed Juma, pour la qualité du rapport. Nous tenons également à rappeler que l'appel à l'action de Yaoundé et les conclusions de la rencontre de Delft nous invitent tous à intensifier nos efforts pour assurer la représentativité du patrimoine africain sur la liste. Bien sûr, il est à déplorer la sous-représentativité de l'Afrique et, à contrario, le grand nombre de ses biens sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en péril. Ce constat rend plus pressant le besoin de former les experts africains et surtout d'innover en matière de financement du processus d'inscription pour le rendre soutenable financièrement s'entend pour les États africains. Soulignons qu'il est important de tenir compte de la particularité du patrimoine africain dans le choix des experts, des organes consultatifs pour les analyses préliminaires ou d'évaluation. Pour inverser la tendance assez élevée du reste de propositions africaines différées ou non recommandées, il serait bon que les organes consultatifs aient en leur sein des experts africains suffisants et bien outillés afin qu'ils soient à même de mieux comprendre les réalités endogènes liées au patrimoine africain. Je terminerai en ajoutant que le numérique peut se révéler un outil précieux pour la coopération et la mise en réseau des experts africains, aussi bien ceux du réseau des gestionnaires de sites que ceux qui sont dans l'enseignement et la recherche. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Your Excellency. دولة قطر.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. صباح الخير على الجميع. ونتمنى بإذن الله يوم إن شاء الله مفعم بالنشاط والإنجاز. دولة قطر تشكر السكرتارية والسيد محمد جمعة على التقرير الخاص ببند أولويات أفريقيا واستراتيجيات التراث العالمي. لا يخفى على الجميع التحديات والتي تواجه التراث العالمي في أفريقيا، كما نؤكد التزام دولة قطر في دعم الجهود الرامية لتنفيذ هذه الاستراتيجية. كما ندعم ما تفضل به الزملاء في مبدأ التنسيق مع المجموعة أصدقاء أفريقيا في منظمة يونسكو، وبأن هذا التنسيق نرى أنه سوف يكون داعم ومعزز لتنفيذ هذه الخطط والاستراتيجيات فيما يخص التراث العالمي بلا شك. أفريقيا تحتاج التمكين القدرات في نطاق عمل استراتيجية. في هذا الصدد نؤكد على أهمية صندوق الطوارئ لحماية التراث العالمي، وكما تضمنه تقرير الصندوق لعام 2022 فقد شمل 24 دولة. فندعو بالاحتذاء هذه الميكانيزم، هذه الآليات لتمكين الشباب ومن الأولاد والفتيات في أفريقيا. كما ندعم ملفات الدول الأفريقية، وندعم كذلك زيادة ملفات القارة الأفريقية في تسجيل العديد من المواقع في قائمة التراث العالمي، ودعم التراث المسجل في خطر من خلال الآليات الممكنة لا شك في تعزيز التراث، وذلك ما لها من أثر على تحقيق أهداف التنمية وخلق جو من الاستقرار في أفريقيا. وشكرا سيد الرئيس.
شكرا جزيلا. Belgium.
Merci Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, chers collègues, la Belgique et ses gouvernements de Wallonie, de Bruxelles et de la Flandre remercient le secrétariat pour ce rapport et pour le processus de consultation qui a été mené afin d'aboutir aux recommandations qui nous ont été soumises. La priorité Afrique est une véritable boussole guidant les travaux de l'UNESCO. Dans ce sens, la protection et la préservation et la promotion du patrimoine africain est une priorité absolue pour ce comité. Cette thématique a ainsi occupé une place privilégiée lors des célébrations qui ont marqué le 50e anniversaire de la Convention l'année dernière à Delft et à Yaoundé. Nous nous réjouissons du grand nombre de candidatures africaines que nous allons examiner pendant cette séance. Nous remercions les États qui ont apporté les soutiens techniques et financiers pour la mise en œuvre de la priorité Afrique. Malgré les obstacles qui nous restent à surmonter, nous devons maintenir le cap sur notre objectif. La Belgique et ses régions sont fermement convaincus de la nécessité de renforcer la représentativité africaine sur la liste. Cette formidable diversité culturelle et naturelle est une source d'enrichissement pour tous, car elle favorisera une meilleure compréhension et appréciation de l'Afrique. La préservation de ce patrimoine pourra également ouvrir des opportunités pour les populations locales avec l'appui des femmes et des jeunes. Nous sommes particulièrement favorables à l'objectif de renforcer les capacités des institutions, des universités et des experts africains pour que la sauvegarde du patrimoine africain repose de plus en plus sur l'expertise africaine. La Belgique peut témoigner de la valeur inestimable de cette collaboration. Depuis de nombreuses années, nos gouvernements ont fortement soutenu la coopération dans les domaines culturels, scientifiques et académiques avec de nombreux pays africains. Ensemble, poursuivons nos efforts pour que l'Afrique puisse jouir pleinement de son riche patrimoine culturel et naturel, tout en renforçant son identité et en offrant des perspectives positives à ses populations. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. So we exhausted the list of committee members and we are going to give the floor to the state parties. Armenia, you have the floor. One. Next, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Your Excellency. As this is the first time the UK is taking the floor, please allow me to congratulate you on the excellent hosting of the committee meeting. I'd also like to convey my deep condolences and those of the British government and the British people to the Kingdom of Morocco for the tragic loss of life in Friday's devastating earthquake. We stand ready to provide support to Morocco as it assesses the extent of damage to the World Heritage Site, Medina of Marrakesh, the Qasar and the High Atlas, and other important historic sites. The UK welcomes and congratulates UNESCO, its member states and experts on the creation of a new strategy for World Heritage in Africa. This strategy is a step forward in identifying and addressing the interconnected challenges facing the nomination, conservation and protection of Africa's globally significant heritage, alongside the inclusion of African experts across the World Heritage processes. The UK has long supported many of the outputs in the strategy in partnership with African member states, as well as inter-World Heritage site collaboration between the United Kingdom and African site managers and communities. We therefore welcome the people-centred approach at the core of this strategy. This reflects the approach that the UK has taken in partnership with the Ugandan World Heritage Sites and communities in the Rwenzori Mountains through the UK government's Cultural Protection Fund. The UK is keen to offer assistance to African state parties not yet represented on the World Heritage list in developing a World Heritage Site nomination, and we look forward to continuing collaboration between the UK and African member states on shared challenges and supporting the fulfillment of this important strategy.
Thank you very much. Ukraine, you have the floor.
Shukran Jazilan, thank you very much. Dear Mr. Chairman, dear Mr. ADG for Culture, Director of the World Heritage Center, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Ukraine thanks the Secretariat for this report. Ukraine would like to stress the importance of our cooperation with the countries of Africa. During the last 10 months, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Mr. Dmytro Kuleba, paid many visits to the countries of Africa in order to enlarge and deepen Ukraine-Africa cooperation. This year, Ukraine also joined the group of friends for Priority Africa in UNESCO. We would like also to emphasize the importance for Ukraine of the operational strategy for Priority Africa 2022-2029 in order to enlarge our cooperation. Taking into consideration that the African cultural heritage sites are underrepresented on the World Heritage List, we support the need to enlarge the inscriptions of more African properties, more nominations on the World Heritage List. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Next, Paraguay, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Quisiera en nombre de mi país felicitar al Reino de Arabia Saudita por la magnífica organización de esta importante sesión del Comité de Patrimonio Mundial de la UNESCO. Lo felicito por su elección como presidente de esta reunión y también recordar a su antecesora, la princesa Haifa Al-Mogrin, por su gran labor en la UNESCO. Expresamos nuestra solidaridad con el hermano pueblo de Marruecos en esta hora trágica. El proyecto de Prioridad África es alentador y nos hace reflexionar sobre la importancia de promover en todos los Estados miembros la inscripción de sus elementos en la lista representativa del patrimonio mundial. Mi país tiene un elemento inscripto que son las misiones jesuíticas de Trinidad y Jesús de Tabarangüe. Si observamos los números de cada grupo de países en esta convención, vemos que la brecha es enorme. Se reproduce fielmente el desequilibrio ya existente en un orden mundial en perpetua inequidad. Y es por ello que el rol de la UNESCO es más relevante que nunca para impulsar una lista de patrimonio mundial más equilibrada. La tarea de sembrar en el corazón de los pueblos la devoción por su herencia, por su patrimonio, es cada vez más urgente y necesaria y debe estar vinculada a la política educativa de cada nación. Por eso es justo que África sea prioridad. Por eso es justo que América Latina y el Caribe también sean prioridad en la UNESCO. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. So I would like to ask the Secretariat to answer some questions that has been addressed and clarifications during the discussion. Mr. ADG.
Gracias, señor presidente. Quisiera recordarles que cuando hablamos de prioridad África, el Comité del Patrimonio Mundial es sin duda parte esencial de este trabajo que se lleva a cabo en toda la Casa del UNESCO y en los distintos sectores que representan el mandato de la UNESCO. Con respecto a cultura, y ayer fue mencionado, el trabajo con respecto a esta prioridad África puesta ante ustedes por el equipo de Mohamed, se hizo en sinergia absoluta con la segunda pata de este Flagship Program 3, que tiene que ver con el tráfico ilícito y la discusión en torno al retorno y restitución de bienes culturales. Entenderlo como tal implica también trabajar en sinergia, tal como fue consultado y fue mencionado por el estimado embajador de Egipto, y así lo consideramos nosotros en la UNESCO como un todo. Yo creo que estos temas en torno al patrimonio han dado pasos importantes en otras convenciones, y como ustedes saben, este año en Botswana pasamos de revisar 3 inscripciones, 4 inscripciones por año, a más de 12 inscripciones que tendrán este año y el próximo el continente africano, con más de un quinto de los elementos que se van a inscribir. Ese trabajo fue un trabajo largo, de 5 años de reflexión, de 5 años de trabajo, de un trabajo apoyado por ICROM específicamente, para ver cómo hacemos el trabajo de Capacity Building. Pero quisiera también mencionarles que la prioridad África tal como lo dije, es en todo el ámbito del sector de la cultura. Como ustedes saben, hace 2 años lanzamos en plena pandemia el trabajo sobre la industria audiovisual en África. Este año, en las próximas semanas, publicamos la moda y el textil y estamos iniciando el campo del trabajo del mundo editorial en África. Por lo tanto, la prioridad de África lo es en toda su dimensión. Y quisiéramos asegurarles que el gran cambio que se está produciendo, gracias también al grupo de amigos de la prioridad de África, es que no hemos puesto fechas. Es decir, cuando ponemos que el 2025 esperamos resultados de la envergadura de las que se están planteando y el año 2029 tratar de achicar las brechas que existen, es porque nos pusimos metas. Y yo creo que es el gran desafío de ustedes y de la UNESCO en general. Ponerse metas, asegurarse que las estamos cumpliendo y poder en 5 y 10 años más poder decir que se produjo este cambio que tanto han anhelado cada uno de ustedes. Por lo tanto, quisiera agradecer la intervención, sobre todo, y la pregunta de Egipto frente a eso. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for the clarifications. I therefore invite you, dear colleagues, to proceed with the adoption draft decision 45-COM 5C, but before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Rwanda, which is supported by the distinguished delegations of Egypt, South Africa, and Ethiopia. We also noted that a number of committee members from the floor expressed co-authorship for this amendment. The names of the committee members, as we recorded, are Nigeria, Russian Federation, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Oman. The proposed amendment is for changes to Para 2, Para 3, Para 6, and Para 11, along with inclusion of an additional Para 9. We will be showing the amended decision on screen para-wise for adoption. You can see Para 1 to 4. I'm going to read out those. In Para 1, having examined document WHC/23/45.com/5C. Para 2, recalling Decision 44-COM-5C. As per standard, we have added the phrase adopted at its extended 44th session, FOZO Online 2021, in which the World Heritage Center was requested to present a progress report on Priority Africa in line with the medium-term strategy 2022 to 2029 and program and budget for 2022 to 2025. Para 3 reads as also recalling decisions 44-COM-10A and 44-COM-10B adopted at its extended 44th session, FOZO Online 2021. Para 4 and Para 5 and Para 4 and Para 5 stay as they are. Para 6 is amended, and the revised para states, endorses the strategy for World Heritage in Africa as an implementation plan of Objective 1 of Flagship Program 3 of the Operational Strategy for Priority Africa 2022 to 2029, composed of 3 guiding principles, 5 pillars, and 7 priorities identified by the states parties following a broader consultation process that involved African states parties, national focal points, World Heritage Site managers, and experts. Para 7 and Para 8 stay as they are. There is inclusion of a new Para 9, which reads as, recognizes that the strategy for World Heritage in Africa needs to be fully funded and requests the Secretariat to fundraise resources required for the implementation of the strategy. Para 10, with all its points A to E, stays as it is. Para 11 is revised, and reads as, requests the World Heritage Center in collaboration with IUCN, ICOMOS, the World Heritage Center. We would like to change the World Heritage Center to replace it by ICROM, which is an advisory body not mentioned, whereas World Heritage Center is already mentioned in the initial statement. Following that, it's the UNESCO chairs and UNESCO Category 2 centers related to World Heritage and other capacity building partners to implement the strategy for World Heritage in Africa and the implementation of main objective 1 of flagship program 3 and prepare a progress report towards this end in line with the medium-term strategy 2022 to 2029 and program and budget for 2022 to 2025 for examination by the committee at its 46th session. End of the revised amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Japan supports the amendment presented, and we want our name to be included as one of the co-sponsors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Belgium?
Yes, we also confirm our support for the suggested amendments and would like to be co-authors as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Zambia?
Chair, Zambia wants to be included as well. We are supporting.
Thank you so much. India?
Thank you, Chair. India would also like to align with other states parties in supporting this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Italy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Italy supports to the amendment. Thank you.
St. Vincent and Grenadines?
St. Vincent and the Grenadines supports the amendments.
Russian Federation?
Спасибо, господин председатель. Мы были в тексте поддержавших государств. Почему-то нас убрали. Просили бы восстановить. Спасибо.
Thank you. Bulgaria?
Bulgaria also support.
Thank you. Argentina?
También compartimos.
Thank you. Mali?
Le Mali appuie les amendements proposés, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you so much. Mamlaka Arabia Saudiya?
We'd like to support the decision.
Thank
Can
you.
you add?
Thailand?
Yes, Thailand would like to support, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Rwanda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since it's the first time I'm taking the floor, allow me to first congratulate you, sir, on your chairmanship and wish you all the best and a great success in your activities. I would also like to add my voice and join other countries in expressing our solidarity and deepest condolences to the people of the Kingdom of Morocco. Finally, we wish to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for assuming the leadership and our committee for the warm welcome to your beautiful country. Mr. Chair, let me also thank all the countries, all the member states for adding their voices to the proposed amendment. One minor adjustment on para 6. We are proposing to add the main objective, not just objective 1, main objective. I thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mexico?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. We would like to be also in the list of countries supporting number 2, paragraph 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or interventions? So I propose that we proceed with adopting the amended draft decision para by para. So the first paragraph, there is no amendment. Do you agree? Any objections? Then adopted. Paragraph 2. Do you agree with the amended paragraph? No. Adopted. Paragraph 3. Do you agree with the amended paragraph? Adopted. Paragraph 4 and 5. There is no amendment. Do you agree with the draft, with the paragraphs? Adopted. Paragraph 6. Do you agree with the amended draft paragraph? Adopted. Paragraph 7 and 8. There are no amendments. Any concern? Adopted. Paragraph 9. Do you agree with the amended draft paragraph? Adopted. Paragraph 10, no amendments. Agree on the paragraph? Adopted. Paragraph 11, do you agree with the amended draft paragraph? Adopted. So many thanks. And now we proceed with the decision and adopt the whole amended draft entirely. If there are no comments or interventions. Adopted. So I declare that the draft decision 45Com 5C adopted as amended. Dear committee members, we will move now to the next item concerning the World Heritage Convention and Sustainable Development. Please refer to the document 45Com-5D in this regard. Allow me to give the floor to Ms. Jyoti, the Deputy Director of the World Heritage Center, to present to us this document on an essential matter for the future implementation of the World Heritage Convention. Please, Ms. Hustgur, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Following the adoption of the policy document for the integration of a sustainable development perspective into the processes of the World Heritage Convention by the 20th General Assembly, this document reports on the follow-up activities since the last reporting 2 years ago, as well as follow-up to previous decisions. My presentation follows the structure of the document, where I will first address general efforts of the Center and the advisory bodies, and then highlight them by themes identified by the policy, with a view to align the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy with the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The themes also identify relevant SDGs to which those activities contribute. The general activities and mainstreaming. In the current reporting period, sustainable development has been mainstreamed into the processes of the World Heritage Convention. For instance, in the framework of the third cycle of periodic reporting, almost all states parties so far recognize that the inscription of a property on the World Heritage List contributes to the 2030 agenda, including protecting biological and cultural diversity, to human rights disasters, disaster resilience, and climate change. Following the ongoing reporting exercise, regional action plans have been developed for the Arab states, Africa and Asia and the Pacific regions to include strategic objectives related to sustainable development. The 2022 Mondia Cult Declaration highlights safeguarding cultural heritage against climate change and conflicts, aligning with the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy. It also stresses combining efforts with intangible heritage and other cultural conventions. With regard to guidance and tools for supporting the implementation of the World Heritage Policy, includes the World Heritage Canopy platform for good practices and innovative solutions, showcasing over 65 cases, integrating heritage conservation with sustainable development at the local level, including a new thematic area on climate change launched at the COP27 with the support of the Netherlands. Enhancing, next please, enhancing environmental resilience, contributing to SDG 14 and 15, the significant steps forward are the World Heritage Center contribution to the post-2020 biodiversity framework via biodiversity-related conventions liaison group, which includes all the biodiversity-related conventions, the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and the cooperation between UNESCO, the advisory bodies, and the corporate sector to further the protection of world heritage. With generous support from Norway, UNESCO has embarked on a range of ambitious conservation activities in Africa, and 14 properties on the list of World Heritage in danger. UNESCO and IUCN's 2021 study shows World Heritage sites lost 3.5 million hectares of forest from 2001 to 2010, hindering carbon storage, providing and supporting UNESCO's commitment to the protection of global forests as vital for the SDGs. The World Heritage Center, recognizing nature-culture connections, acts as the Secretariat for the UNESCO Greece Melina Mercouri International Prize, rewarding exceptional efforts in protecting and improving cultural landscapes. Next, on disaster risk reduction, the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies have acted quickly to provide support to World Heritage properties affected by disasters due to natural causes, for example, flooding in Yemen, Sudan, and Pakistan, earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, to name a few, which are particularly acute also for the SIDS. The World Heritage Center also provided technical and financial support for properties to minimize the risks of disasters as well as their impact, particularly for sites on the list of World Heritage in danger, including enhancing resilience in, for example, the World Heritage cities in Yemen facing climate-related flooding, in Pakistan and Sudan. On furthering climate action with World Heritage relating to SDG 13. Regarding climate action and SDG 13, more information regarding the conservation of marine properties and the protection of glaciers will be provided in Document 7, 7A, and 7B. The Center has made great efforts to integrate cultural and natural heritage into international climate efforts. For example, offering key recommendations in the Global Research and Action Agenda that was published in 2022 that resulted from the first ever international meeting on culture, heritage, and climate change, organized in 2021 in collaboration with IPCC and ICOMOS. Offering guidance in an online tool, guidance for wind energy projects in a World Heritage context for states' properties in Europe and North America region, launched in 2023 with the support of the government of the Netherlands. A new study was carried out by UNESCO and IUCN on World Heritage glaciers that was launched in the framework of the COP27. The flexible mechanism of involving Greece, UNESCO, UNFCCC, and WMO is also important to note here. on enabling poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihoods for local communities, SDG 1, 8, and 12, the potential of World Heritage properties to alleviate poverty and enhance sustainable livelihoods of local communities by engaging these local communities in the conservation and management of heritage properties and sites is emphasized. And just to touch quickly on the ongoing periodic reporting shows that increasing numbers of properties have management plans that include a strategy to manage tourism activity derived economic, social, cultural, and environmental aspects, as well as formalized processes for engaging with local communities. In Africa, the World Heritage Center prioritizes enhancing local communities' involvement and property management. Aligned with UNESCO's World Heritage and Sustainable Tourism Program and the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policies, various initiatives by the World Heritage Center and UNESCO field offices promote locally driven sustainable tourism around World Heritage properties, aiding economic diversification and community resilience. Some examples would be the partnership between Airbnb and Mexico City's government for sustainable tourism in World Heritage sites of Xochimilco and La Huac, the UNESCO Sustainable Travel Pledge, and Expedia Group. With regard to sustainable cities and settlements, SDG 11, as more than 70% of cultural World Heritage properties are located in urban areas and face pressures of urbanization, the 2011 recommendation on the historic urban landscape has been aligned with the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy, the 2030 Agenda, and the New Urban Agenda. The third member state consultation that was on the historic urban landscape recommendation and its implementation, 2020-23, produced 187 reports from 69 countries and 125 cities. 80% of the reporting cities had properties on the World Heritage List or the National Tentative List. The reports emphasized the significance of implementing the recommendation as a tool for managing urban World Heritage properties, integrating heritage conservation with urban development plans and processes, in the framework of sustainable development supported by additional digital tools such as the Urban Heritage Atlas for cultural mapping of attributes. The 2011 recommendation is being applied to safeguard World Heritage in African urban contexts, including properties like tombs of the Buganda kings at Kasubi, Uganda, royal palaces of Abomey, Benin, among others. On promoting social inclusion and empowering local communities, including youth, women, and indigenous peoples, SDG 5 and 10, the World Heritage Center actively supports UNESCO's intersectoral program promoting indigenous knowledge, culture, languages for inclusion, and has contributed to the development of the International Decade of Indigenous Languages, a global action plan. The World Heritage Committee specifically urges equitable participation of indigenous peoples and local communities in decision-making, monitoring, and managing World Heritage properties, emphasizing indigenous rights and free, prior, and informed consent of indigenous peoples. Revised formats for nomination effective from February 2023 require demonstrated free, prior, and informed consent prior to submission of nomination dossiers. The advisory bodies are ensuring appropriate procedures are in place to incorporate inputs from indigenous peoples in their evaluation processes. Regarding allegations of human rights violations and abuses towards indigenous peoples and local communities in and around World Heritage properties, in each case, the World Heritage Center has followed up with states parties to clarify positions and facts, ensuring adherence to convention principles. The October 2022 report of the Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples outlines 4 recommendations to UNESCO. In parallel, the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies have intensified their cooperation with the International Indigenous Peoples Forum on World Heritage, with UN Special Rapporteurs in relevant fields through several meetings to discuss and reflect upon a more effective recognition of the rights and values of indigenous peoples in the processes of the World Heritage Convention. UNESCO is collaborating with the Indigenous Peoples Forum on World Heritage, together with the advisory bodies, for an international expert workshop on recognizing and respecting indigenous peoples' heritage values in World Heritage sites in January 2024. Other activities related to World Heritage and youth, like the World Heritage Volunteers or the Young Hands Kit, have been discussed in the document 5A that was reported yesterday. The World Heritage Center promotes gender-balanced participation in property management, and the ongoing 3rd cycle of periodic reporting indicates that most properties with formalized management systems include a framework for the participation of women. On promoting peace and security and facilitating international cooperation, goals 16 and 17, SDG 16 and 17, the Historic Mondjakult 2022 Declaration affirms the imperative of protecting cultural heritage from the risk of destruction or damage in the context of armed conflict. And this topic is also discussed in document 7. The World Heritage Convention has continuously proved to be a powerful tool for mobilizing international cooperation for the establishment of common priorities and strategies to face heritage conservation and preservation challenges. Some examples are the Pacific Regional World Heritage Action Plan for World Heritage 2021 to 2025 and the International Coordinating Committee for UNCOR. Finally, on measurement and monitoring of culture in the 2030 Agenda, data collected by the UNESCO Institute of Statistics in relation to the monitoring of SDG 11.4.1 on the amount of expenditure on the protection of cultural and natural heritage shows that developing nations are investing less than developed ones, and that local governments take the lead in safeguarding heritage in some countries. UNESCO has successfully completed the pilot implementation of the UNESCO Culture 2030 indicators. Next, please, on the slides. Of the 2030 indicators, the thematic indicators for culture in the 2030 Agenda in 13 countries and 17 cities, highlighting culture's role in sustainable development, including several indicators for cultural and natural heritage. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I would like to know whether there are any comments on this agenda item. Sultanate Oman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Oman would like to thank the Secretariat, represented by the World Heritage Center, for all the efforts and excellent work during the period presented at this report, as well as their cooperation and coordination with the advisory body to enable culture and heritage in sustainable development. Oman will be supporting the debate and discussions in New York for this month regarding the culture as one of the key elements for sustainable development goals. And our ambassador and permanent delegate is informed accordingly. Oman would like also to acknowledge the importance of the online platform World Heritage Canopy, as I mentioned it also yesterday, as a relevant tool to support the operationalization of the World Heritage Sustainable Development Program. It is also clear from the report that this platform is used for a capacity building. Oman is also in discussion with the World Heritage Center on how to cooperate and utilize this platform. I strongly invite state parties to contribute to this initiative and to support such effort to enable the World Heritage Center and advisory body to gather, analyze, and share information on good practices and innovative solutions that integrate heritage conservation with sustainable development, which we will be all benefiting from. Such information sharing and experiences and practices of each other will enable state parties for more cooperation. Again, many thanks for all the efforts. Thank you.
Shukran jazilan. India?
Mr. Chair, thank you for giving India the floor. India would like to thank the Deputy Director, WH Center, in presenting us the report regarding the progress made in implementing the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy since the extended 44th session of the committee. Goal 11 of the 7 SDGs is most pertinent for the WH Convention. We do not need to remind ourselves of the relevance of the Goal 11.4, strengthen efforts to protect and safeguard the world's cultural and natural heritage. This goal, though, clearly shows its concern for the World Heritage properties. However, this cannot be viewed in isolation. Many other SDGs also get interlinked with this Goal 11, as the document presented by the Secretariat indicates. The third cycle of the periodic reporting exercise that India participated in 2021 gave us an opportunity to integrate aspects of heritage conservation and management with sustainable development practices. Almost each site manager of our 40 WH properties, be it cultural, natural, or mixed, gave us indicators regarding sustainable development practices getting mainstreamed in conservation and buffer management of our WH properties. The Secretariat has provided us with pertinent insights on various SDG goals being mainstreamed into the World Heritage processes, be it enhancing environmental resilience or disaster risk reduction, or furthering climate action with World Heritage, or enabling poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihoods for local communities, or sustainable cities and settlements, or promoting social inclusion and empowering local communities, including youth, women, and indigenous peoples, or promoting peace and security and facilitating international cooperation. India notes with concern various actions and activities in the last 2 years. Clearly, this is a work in progress, and India will stand in full support of the World Heritage Center and advisory bodies in continuing with these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, we commend the work of the World Heritage Center explained by the Deputy Director of the Center. This clearly shows that the protection of World Heritage can make contributions to many of the SDGs goals. In this context, let me make short remarks regarding seeds. Seeds is a priority group in the context of UNESCO. However, in reality, despite richness in nature and culture in seeds, the number of inscribed properties of seeds is not sufficient at this moment. With a view to increasing awareness of the needs to preserve existing heritages, one of the projects that Japan is supporting in terms of UNESCO project is to address this issue. It is actually a capacity building activity through the promotion of sustainable tourism in collaboration with World Heritage Sustainable Development Program, which Japan is also supporting as well. Also, from the point of view of conservation and management, we have made financial contributions to UNESCO to enhance response to disaster, making use of participatory resources management. In fact, in East Renel of the Solomon Islands, which is one of the items in the World Heritage in danger, we have a JFIT project there. By the way, in Delphi, thanks to Greece, we had a wonderful conference in Delphi. And in a particular conference, we heard a presentation by a representative from the Solomon Islands, and we shared the sense of crisis in their natural heritage. We need to be aware of those issues in the seeds. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Ethiopia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, for giving me the floor. Ethiopia is grateful for the World Heritage Center Deputy Director for her detailed presentations on the progress reports on the implementation of the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy since the 44th online session of the World Heritage Committee in Fuzu in 2021. Ethiopia would like to commend Mondia Cult 2022 declaration, which has unanimously been adopted at the UNESCO World Conference on Cultural Policies and Sustainable Development. Mondia Cult 2022, held in Mexico City in September 2022. The role of the World Heritage properties is of paramount importance to alleviate poverty and enhance sustainable livelihoods of local communities to meet SDG 1, 8, 12, particularly for African countries, to promote sustainable tourism, create jobs, and promote local culture and products. On SDG 5 and 10, Ethiopia seeks further clarification from the Secretariat on achievements, particularly on promoting social inclusion and empowering local communities, including youth, women, and indigenous peoples in developing countries in general, and Africa in particular. Finally, Mr. Chairperson, as it is Ethiopia's New Year today, I would like to say Happy New Year to you, to us here, as we are 7 years younger. Today in Ethiopia is 2016. I thank you.
Thank you. Greece, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, we would like to thank the Secretariat for this detailed report, giving us an overview of the various aspects of World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy. In the context of this discussion, we would like to make the following comments in relation to Section 5 of this document in order to highlight the significant impact of climate change on heritage and to share with you our recent experience. As the Director General and many delegations have already mentioned, it is widely recognized that climate change is one of the most critical challenges of our time, with serious impact on both cultural and natural heritage being evident and amplified over time. In the State of Conservation document to be examined later, it is highlighted that, and I quote, the state of conservation of more than 1/3 of all properties and 70% of marine properties have negative impacts related to climate change. However, it is only recently that the impact of climate change on cultural heritage has been included in the climate change agenda. From the outset, Greece has played an active role in bringing to the fore this multidimensional issue, developing an innovative initiative endorsed by more than 100 UN member states, the flexible mechanism mentioned in para 23 of this document. However, it must be stressed that the impact of climate change on cultural heritage is a very complex scientific issue which has not been yet fully explored. More research is needed in order to assess the climate-related risks, both temporally and spatially, as well as to define critical parameters such as exposure, sensitivity, adaptive capacity, and vulnerability. In the meantime, it is crucial that proactive action for safeguarding tangible and intangible cultural heritage is taken. Greece has prioritized this goal and implements a multi-level program for the development of adaptation plans and the improvement of resilience to climate change for its cultural heritage, using, inter alia, the European Union Recovery Fund. Dear colleagues, this summer we all experienced an unprecedented climate crisis, and multiple wildfires have broken out amid our country's hot and dry conditions. In a summer of mega fires across the Northern Hemisphere, the Mediterranean region confronted a toxic mix of extreme heat and drought, with summer temperatures in Southern Europe warming at a rate 3 times faster than the global average. In Greece, a period of severe weather phenomena and flooding followed. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry for exceeding the time allocated, but it's due to the urgency of the issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Italy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Italy would like to commend the World Heritage Center for the implementation of those crucial activities with regard to sustainable development. We are fully convinced of the importance of ensuring that the sustainable development objectives should be at the core of the conservation actions for the World Heritage properties and of the other UNESCO natural sites. In this context, it is my pleasure to stress the importance for all the membership of the agreement between UNESCO and Italy on UNESCO International Environmental Expert Network. This agreement is a great opportunity in this framework. Under the aegis of UNESCO and with the Ministry of Environment of Italy as a founding partner and first major donor to the initiative, for a total amount of 3.8 million euro, the program established a network of international environmental experts with the aim of providing assistance and training for conservation and sustainable management of ecosystems in protected areas. This program is part of a UNESCO multi-partner trust fund with an expected value of $20 million. I would like to underline that this action is open to other donors and partners who intend to join this program and contribute to the protection of the global ecosystems and to the sustainable use of biodiversity and the ecological restoration of ecosystems. The program will contribute also to the objectives of the Paris Climate Agreement and to the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, as well as to the UNESCO Biodiversity Strategy. Some countries, like St. Kitts and Nevis, Bulgaria and Madagascar for their biosphere reserves, and soon a World Heritage property in Ghana, already take advantage from the program. And we are sure that many other countries could benefit from it and thus enrich and strengthen the program. So I would like to take this opportunity to inform you that on September 26th at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, there will be a special information meeting to present the program to the permanent delegation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Zambia.
Mr. Chairperson, all protocols observed, Zambia would like to thank and appreciate the Center for a well-presented report on sustainable development and therefore wishes to make a contribution to the same as a new member on the World Heritage Committee. Mr. Chairman, my delegation of Zambia as a new member of the committee would like to appreciate the warm welcome of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We would also like to thank the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies, as well as the African World Heritage Fund and the African Region States Parties, to the wonderful work that they are already doing. We would also like to thank the World Heritage Committee for its great work in protecting our various natural and cultural World Heritage properties. Considering that most of the African states parties are grappling with the issues of development within and around their World Heritage sites, my delegation would like to support the convention by championing a pilot project, if not a program, on sustainable development within the World Heritage context, using the case study of the Mosotunya/Victoria Falls World Heritage Sites, which we are managing jointly with the State Party of Zimbabwe. We hope to use it as a model for implementing the policy on sustainable development, which has been adopted by the UNESCO General Assembly for implementation in our various World Heritage properties. As a state party, we would like to commit ourselves to pilot projects within the Mosotunya Victoria Falls through supporting a capacity building program for Africa using practical examples for African site managers and policymakers. This program is also intended to support aspects of job creation for the communities around the World Heritage sites in question. We hope to work hand in hand with the Africa World Heritage Fund, the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies, and the state parties. Noting that we are going to deal with properties which belong to the entire universe, we would like other well-wishers to join Zambia in championing this good cause that is aimed at protecting the outstanding universal values for our World Heritage properties, whilst promoting sustainable development. As Zambia would like to put it on record that African cities and urban centers are growing rapidly, and Zambia is not an exception. The legacy of poverty, inequality, and increased people's vulnerability must come to an end or reduce drastically, especially in rural communities that live within and near World Heritage sites like the Mosotunya Victoria Falls and many other sites in Zambia and other African countries. We need interventions to improve livelihoods of our people, even as we prioritize protection of the World Heritage sites and sustainable development. This is why state parties to this UNESCO World Heritage Convention need continuous engagement and dialogue to find common grounds for the socio-economic benefit of the local people and world communities. We must move people's mindsets from negative thinking that efforts to protect World Heritage sites do not improve their livelihoods just because they are not seeing the derivable benefits. This can be achieved when sustainable development of the World Heritage sites is seen to be delivering benefits to the communities in terms of job creation and improved socio-economic impact and development. Mr. Chairman, I submit and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Sam Vincent and Nadine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would like first of all to express on behalf of St. Vincent and the Grenadines our solidarity with the Kingdom of Morocco and its people and our sympathy to the families of the victims. This tragedy leads us to think deeply about how to prevent, respond to, and recover from disaster. And in St. Vincent, we have lived this strategy when we had the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano in April 2021. To this end, the World Heritage Sustainable Development Policy is an ideal tool that evolves around the three dimensions of sustainable development, complemented by the promotion of peace and security. We congratulate the Secretariat and the States parties for all the activities undertaken in the implementation of this policy and the progress made, and we should underline the Mondial Cult Declaration 2022, which highlights the importance of the protection of cultural heritage to face the challenges of climate change and armed conflicts, supporting the effort of the Center, which is implementing this policy, as well as strengthening synergies with safeguarding of intangible heritage and other cultural conventions. We welcome the activities to integrate disaster risk preparedness and response mechanisms into management plans in the Caribbean region, as noted in paragraph 16 and 17, as well as in the Pacific. And we encourage the Center to continue providing small island developing states with the means and the tools necessary to implement this policy. This policy, which covers the main sustainable development goals, involves communities, indigenous people, cities, and all stakeholders, relevant stakeholders. We are looking forward to working with the Center to further develop this policy in Latin America and Caribbean region in terms of capacity building and raise awareness. Mr. Chairman, this policy opens the opportunity to adopt a new state of mind, a political and social commitment to increase the exchange of knowledge and best practices, to enhance cooperation and understanding with the respect for the highest scientific standards to safeguard heritage assets. We count on common and shared responsibilities to better preserve and conserve the heritage from climate action threats and to ensure the contribution of this convention in synergies with other relevant UNESCO recommendations and convention to the sustainable development goals clearly mentioned in the policy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. دولة قطر.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. Qatar would like to thank the World Heritage Committee for the informative report and taking into consideration the sustainable development that has been mainstreamed into the process of the World Heritage Convention by integrating related concept action in the framework of the third cycle periodic reporting 2018-2024. We appreciate World Heritage Committee for highlighting the importance of promoting social inclusion and empowering local communities, including youth, women, and indigenous people, that align with the United Nations SDG and Qatar National Vision 2030. State of Qatar also believes that we need to find balance between the sustainable project and efforts of the cultural protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. México se une al reconocimiento de otros miembros del comité respecto de la calidad de este informe y agradece al secretariado por ello. Tuvimos el privilegio de albergar Mondiacult en 2022, en el que participaron ministros de más de 130 países para refrendar su compromiso con la cultura y el impacto que tiene la cultura y su contribución al desarrollo sostenible. En ese sentido, consideramos que todas las iniciativas presentadas en este informe, los programas, las plataformas y diferentes herramientas son esenciales para impulsar la operacionalización del Programa de Desarrollo Sostenible del Patrimonio Mundial. Y por ello hemos presentado, vamos a someter a consideración del comité una enmienda posteriormente. Asimismo, aprovecho esta oportunidad para agradecer a España por la traducción que facilitaron en español para esta sesión y desearle un muy feliz año nuevo a Etiopía. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Argentina.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. Bueno, primeramente gracias al centro y agradecemos a la subdirectora con relación a los avances y el muy exhaustivo y detallado reporte que nos ha enviado. Apoyamos plenamente al centro y a los órganos consultivos. Los objetivos de conservación y preservación del patrimonio mundial, tal como es definido en la Convención, se encuentran estrechamente vinculados con los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible en la Agenda 2030, en tanto permiten un contexto global de vertiginosos cambios y transformaciones que se producen en un mundo en crisis recurrente. Defender y proteger el patrimonio paisajístico, tanto cultural como natural. Mantener nuestras representaciones representativas de los ecosistemas terrestres, costeros y marinos que aseguran la continuidad de los procesos naturales, particularmente los vinculados a la conservación de la flora y la fauna locales. Propiciar actividades sostenibles de turismo, ganadería y pesca y otras actividades económicas y productivas compatibles con la conservación del área. Propiciar entre los habitantes de nuestros países el conocimiento, la valoración y el respeto por las áreas patrimoniales protegidas, facilitando la investigación y el monitoreo, particularmente en sus aspectos culturales y naturales y sociales, y este es nuestro compromiso. En Argentina, el desafío que vislumbramos en relación con la Convención y el Desarrollo Sostenible va a ser siempre trabajar con las verdaderas protagonistas de este sistema internacional. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. Lebanon.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, et permettez-moi de vous féliciter pour la manière dont vous menez nos débats. Monsieur le Président, les points que nous examinons, comme la priorité Afrique, le renforcement des capacités et évidemment le développement durable, sont également importants. Nous avons choisi de faire une intervention sur ce thème-là parce que notre expérience, à l'égal de ce qu'a dit le délégué de la Zambie, nous a appris que sans correctement impliquer les communautés locales, ces communautés locales se retournent contre les biens qui sont inscrits au patrimoine mondial et tant qu'elles ne sont pas convaincues de leur inscription et des conséquences de cette inscription, elles ne voient pas l'intérêt du développement durable et préfèrent des projets économiques à court terme. C'est pour ça que nous pensons qu'une réflexion devrait être menée au sein du comité, peut-être le prochain, et nous serons ravis d'y prendre part, pour convaincre et pour permettre aux communautés locales de se réapproprier les biens inscrits au patrimoine mondial et de les protéger et de les conserver. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. United Kingdom.
Thank you, Chair, and Happy New Year to Ethiopia. Following the UK's participation in Munja Cult, the UK strongly supports integrating sustainable development into the World Heritage Convention, and we welcome and commend the progress outlined in the document. We were delighted to partner with UNESCO and the Canadian Delegation and Commission for UNESCO to launch the UNESCO Sites for Sustainable Development report at COP15 last year. The report provides a framework for how UNESCO sites can be at the forefront of tackling challenges by bringing people, communities, businesses, and organizations together to mobilize solutions. We also welcome the emphasis on climate change impacts on cultural and natural World Heritage sites, as well as the ongoing work of the open-ended working group to finalize the policy documents on climate action for World Heritage. The UK government is commencing a pilot project to test innovative ways to tackle the impacts of climate on the UK's cultural and natural heritage in 3 UNESCO designated sites. The project will bring together economic, environmental, and socio-economic data from a range of private and public sector bodies, with the aim of creating new data tools and models to help sites understand and develop solutions to threats from climate change. These tools will be open and accessible to all to support World Heritage sites worldwide. We look forward to working with other member states and organisations to understand and help tackle the climate challenges we all face and support the Centre's work on sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Germany, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And since it's the first time that Germany takes the floor, we would like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the hospitality extended to us. And thank you to the Secretariat for this report. With regard to sustainable development, we would like to point to the following. Climate change, and this has been mentioned by several speakers before, is at the heart of sustainable development. And therefore, we would like to highlight the importance of the climate policy document, which is under development. And the ad hoc working group, as rightly said by the UK delegate, is working and trying to achieve a good consensus in this regard. We would like to stress how important this is to us as well, and would like to encourage all to work jointly to a later adoption at this year on this climate policy document. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Australia, you have the floor.
Honourable Chair, Australia would like to thank you and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for your hospitality in hosting this 45th session of the World Heritage Committee. Australia commends the work of the World Heritage Centre in its efforts to support the World Heritage Convention and Sustainable Development. In particular, Australia supports the statements made by the Honourable Delegate of Japan with regard to small islands developing states. Australia also commends the Centre and UNESCO for its work to recognise and promote the important interrelationships between tangible and intangible heritage and its support of Indigenous peoples. The Australian Government is committed to improving the lives of First Nations people, including supporting their aspirations for the cultural heritage. We are demonstrating this commitment through recognition of First Nations heritage values and at Australia's heritage places. We are supporting the First Nations-led Marajuga Cultural Landscape nomination, and we have included in our delegation to 45COM a First Nations representative, Amy Stevens, a Darug woman from Marajuga Aboriginal Corporation. Australia is concerned that there is currently no formal mechanism that enables Indigenous peoples, including First Nations people from Australia, to directly participate in decision-making under the World Heritage Convention. In that regard, Chair, we understand the Chair of the Indigenous Peoples Forum is with us today, and we look forward to hearing the Forum's statement to the committee. Australia looks forward to continued close collaboration with UNESCO and state parties on this deeply important aspect of World Heritage Convention.
Thank you very much. Jamaica, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As this is Jamaica's first time taking the floor, we would like to congratulate you on your able leadership of this meeting. We also express our thanks to our host, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for the warm welcome we have received. Jamaica thanks the World Heritage Center for this report and notes the work done with reference to SDGs 13, 14, and 15 in relation to disaster resilience and climate change. This is, as with other Caribbean states, we are in extremely vulnerable spaces and face negative impacts to our cultural and natural heritage, especially now as we're in hurricane season. Jamaica has benefited significantly from the 2021 projects on building disaster resilience in the culture sector and the integration of disaster risk preparedness into management plans of Caribbean World Heritage sites. These projects have enabled us to build networks with disaster management stakeholders, carry out vulnerability assessments of national cultural repositories, and develop the National Strategy and Action Plan for Disaster Resilience and Recovery in the sector. We express our thanks to the Secretariat for their support. We look forward to the Caribbean Plan of Action for Disaster Resilience and Recovery of the Culture sector, which will provide us with greater guidance on incorporating these issues into national development plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no other interventions. So I think there was one question raised by the representatives of Ethiopia. I would like to give the Secretary the floor to elaborate on that and give them feedback.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, and many, many thanks to all of the states parties who have taken the floor to express their support and confirm the importance that they assign to the Sustainable Development Goals with regard to World Heritage. I wanted, with regard to Ethiopia's question in particular regarding youth in Africa and how some of these issues are being addressed with them, I wanted to highlight a few different activities. One is the World Heritage Volunteers Initiative, 74 projects this year, of which 20 were in Africa. 9 countries, there were 9 countries that were participating. These are hands-on, they provide hands-on conservation skills for youth. Also, the World Heritage Young Professionals Forum that happened on the margins of this session, and we saw the youth yesterday, had the most representation from Africa with 9 participants out of 34. UNESCO is also co-implementing the Youth Heritage Africa Initiative in close collaboration with the advisory bodies. And I would also like to mention here some of the activities or programs that were mentioned yesterday by the presentation of the chief of our Africa unit, Mr. Mohamed Juma, is relating to the mentorship as well as higher education, university education for young African professionals, young professionals who are at university, are all already starting. I mean, there's already activities happening in this regard, and the mentorship program is already in place. So all of these are examples of some of the activities particularly aimed at youth. And we certainly hope that going forward, we will be able to do more in this regard. Mr. Chairperson, if you would allow me, I think there was also some comments from regarding community participation from the local, from Zambia, and also there were several others who mentioned the importance of working with local communities and seeing how they could receive benefits of the World Heritage properties. And certainly we would be very happy to go forward and discuss with Zambia. You proposed the property of Victoria Falls to be looked at in terms of sustainable development, to use it as a pilot to look at strengthening the capacities and the benefits to local communities so that they are able to have greater sense of ownership and engagement with the conservation activities. And this is absolutely essential that their livelihoods are benefited. So we will be very happy to discuss together with the Africa unit on how this could be taken forward, and of course with the advisory bodies. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. There are many other points that were raised that I could respond to, but in the interest of time, I really just want to thank all the very, very positive statements that have been made and the commitments of the states parties to support this, and the confirmation that you have provided of the importance of sustainable development for cultural heritage. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So now we move and invite you to proceed with the adoption of the draft decision 45COM 5D. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Mexico, which was also supported by the distinguished delegation of Oman. However, the distinguished delegation of Mexico has submitted a revised amendment, and that is what we are showing on screen, and we request the distinguished delegation of Oman to confirm their support to this. So the amendment is to add a new para 6 as seen on the screen, which reads as, acknowledges the importance of practical strategies and best practices to support the operationalization of the WH-SDP, as well as capacity building for it, and invites states parties to support the secretariats and the advisory bodies' efforts to gather, analyze, and share information on good practices and innovative solutions integrating heritage conservation with sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I'd like to ask my dear colleagues if they agree with this paragraph as amended.
Yes, we do confirm. Thank you.
So I see no other comment, and I propose to declare the entire draft decision as amended as approved. So, yeah. Okay, declare as adopted. And now, I declare the draft decision 45COM 5D adopted as amended. Thank you. So we have two requests from the floor. The International Indigenous People Forum, they would like to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm over here.
I am speaking on behalf of the International Indigenous Peoples Forum on World Heritage to provide further information on the International Expert Workshop on recognising and respecting Indigenous peoples' heritage values in World Heritage Sites, which we are holding in January in Geneva. The expert workshop will follow a similar format as the workshop on the World Heritage Convention and Indigenous peoples in Copenhagen in 2012, and will involve Indigenous experts from the different regions, as well as experts from UNESCO, the advisory bodies and 3 UN mechanisms on the rights of Indigenous peoples. The workshop responds to concerns expressed by the UN mechanisms on Indigenous peoples about the nature-culture divide in the implementation of the World Heritage Convention and the classification of World Heritage Sites in Indigenous peoples' territories as purely natural sites, without recognising their relationship to the land and our cultural values in the OUV. This has in many cases led to or reinforced management frameworks that undermine our customary rights to our ancestral lands and resources, our livelihoods and the protection of our cultural heritage. The workshop also responds to Committee Decision 37, Com 8B.19, which noted that there are fundamental questions in terms of how the indissoluble bonds that exist in some places between culture and nature can be recognised on the World Heritage List, and requested the World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies to examine options for changes to the criteria to address this issue. The aim of the expert workshop is to raise awareness about the concerns of Indigenous peoples and make recommendations on measures to facilitate the recognition of interconnections between culture and nature on the World Heritage List, and enable a more consistent and adequate recognition of Indigenous peoples' values in the OUV and management of sites. Shukran.
Shukran jazilan. So we have also another intervention from the World Heritage Watch Forum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since we're taking the floor for the first time during the sessions, I would like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for your warm welcome and congratulate you to the professional organization of the session. I would like to make 2 points. The 20th session of the General Assembly of State Parties to the Convention has adopted the policy for the integration of sustainable development perspective into the processes of the World Heritage Convention. The decision, among others, requests the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies to elaborate and submit for consideration of the committee proposals for A, the necessary changes to the operational guidelines, which would translate the principles of the policy document on sustainable development into specific operational procedures, and B, indicators for measuring the progress of the policy's implementation. Can the committee enlighten us as to the present state of implementations of these 2 requests? We haven't been able to find anything in the operational guidelines. 2, the World Heritage Convention is built on the promise that the international community will come to the support of those countries who cannot safeguard their world heritage with their own means alone. This promise has overall not sufficiently been fulfilled, in spite of the positive examples that we have heard from Japan and other countries today. Sites need more assistance and financial support from international donors to realize sustainable development on the ground. And I'm not talking about seminars and workshops, but real economic investments in the sustainable use of natural resources, sustainable tourism, and the like. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Your statement is well noted. So now, dear colleagues, our next agenda item is 6, which is the follow-up of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy and the progress report on the World Heritage-related Category 2 centers. Considering their close links, these 2 reports are presented together within the same document, 45Com-6. As the other, these reports span over a 2-year period. Dear colleagues, allow me to give the floor to the Director of the World Heritage Center, Mr. Leonto Osomo, who will present to us the main element of this document, including second part of this document, including the outcomes of the requested external evaluation of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy. Mr. Director, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will be presenting this item together with ICROM. You will recall that in decision 44-6, the World Heritage Committee requested the World Heritage Center and ICROM to provide a progress report on the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy to be examined at this session. And they also sought an independent results-based evaluation on this strategy, which the World Heritage Center and ICROM were able to commission thanks to the generous support of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which I would again like to really thank here in this room. The substantive progress report that you received covers a period of between August 2021 to May 2023, and this report highlights the key achievements and areas for improvement in capacity building effort for World Heritage conservation. Just quickly, to remind you that this World Heritage Capacity Building Program was established in 2011, and it provides a framework for collaborative efforts between the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies, ICROM, IUCN, and ICOMOS, but also with all the other key stakeholders at all levels, from all the regions. The goals of this World Heritage Capacity Building strategy is to enhance the capacity of state parties to preserve and manage their heritage properties while maintaining a balanced World Heritage list. I also would like to highlight that ICROM has been instrumental in updating training opportunities, notably through the World Heritage Leadership Program together with IUCN. And while my colleague Jo King from ICROM will provide some insight into the work of ICROM in a moment, let me just express our really satisfaction on the successful conclusion of phase 1 of the leadership program and the renewal of a second phase until 2028, during which we hope to deepen our close collaboration in the service of our state parties. And I also wish to highlight two key joint contributions on this leadership program. The development of a revision of essential resources such as the integrated manual for managing World Heritage, the enhancing our Heritage Toolkit 2.0, and the guidance and toolkit for impact assessment in World Heritage context. And all these tools are available in our website, and they have been made so you can access them. They are extremely important publications, and they have proven to be of great value to World Heritage practitioners at all levels and reached a new audience, even beyond the audience of specialist circles. And a substantive part of the report which has been submitted to you discusses regional and thematic capacity building initiative. For example, in the Asia-Pacific region, efforts include improving livelihood strategies at heritage sites and promoting innovative products and tourism opportunities. In Latin America and the Caribbean, we focused on sustainable tourism and conservation, while key capacity building activities in Europe and North America address renewable energy transition and heritage conservation. Of course, in the spirit of Priority Africa, many capacity building efforts targeted the region, building ever-growing capacities for heritage management, conservation, and development. And in the Arab states, it focused on defining several desired state of conservation for removal from the list of World Heritage in danger, heritage impact assessment, and sustainable development policies also. And with regard to natural heritage in particular, our unit on natural heritage enhance capacities for resilience and climate adaptation at natural World Heritage sites. And the World Heritage Cities program promoted the historic urban landscape recommendation. One of our other programs, which is the World Heritage Marine Program, offers dedicated capacity building for management of marine heritage. Also, an entire session of the report provides progress updates on the 10 Category 2 centers in the field of World Heritage. And you know that Category 2 centers are really key partners in implementing this strategy and whose role will only increase in the decade to come, especially as we embark on a new capacity building strategy for a new decade. So as requested by the committee, the report concludes with a summary of the evaluation of the strategy, which was conducted by the ECO Institute for Ecology. And again, I would like to say it thanks to the financial support made available by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to UNESCO in February 2022. And the evaluation report was made available to you, as you know, in July, with the useful video presentation from evaluator, which remains, of course, available in our website. To quickly tell you what the evaluators assessed. They assessed the strategy's outcome, its relevance, and its effectiveness. The evaluation process involved a total of 20 in-depth interviews with stakeholders from all regions, including with many capacity building partners, along with a desk review of the background and key outcomes of the capacity building program from since 2011. And there was a close consultation with an evaluation reference group, of course, which was composed of interested committee members, state parties, and other key capacity building actors. And I really like to thank the committee members and state parties who participated in this reference group. Their role was really to ensure that inputs from main actors and beneficiaries of capacity building were considered during the independent evaluation process and guide us for how the report will be finalized, in particular the highlight of the main outcomes of this work. So this evaluation highlights many successes, but it also identifies challenges, notably, for instance, for example, the lack of standardized criteria and approaches, the lack of global coordination, and the difficulty engaging what we call non-traditional stakeholders. And so the evaluators formulated a number of recommendations for revision of this World Heritage capacity building strategy, which was already requested by the committee as a follow-up of the evaluation. And I would like to summarize very briefly some of the key recommendations. The evaluation recommends to define capacity building as coordinating an evidence-based policy cycle to address the shared challenges. It also recommends to utilize the third cycle of periodic reporting for capacity assessment and project management elements. The evaluation recommends to enhance global coordination for capacity building initiative. It also recommends target multipliers, decision makers, and practitioners as direct beneficiaries of the World Heritage capacity building strategy, with state parties and communities as indirect. The same evaluation recommends to focus the new World Heritage strategy's vision on change agents using World Heritage for sustainable development related policy solutions. And of course, you will not be surprised that it recommends to ensure that this strategy contributes effectively to the 5 Cs that you have already adopted. The strategy also recommends that key results should include policy guidance, effective coordination, and relevant resource. And finally, the strategy recommends to develop a budget with funding sources, which is not a surprise, of course, for you. And in this development, it needs to have a long-term funding source from the World Heritage Fund and UNESCO budget, medium-term through programs, and short-term strategic project. Mr. Chairman, I can go over, but what I like to say is that everything is in the report, and the World Heritage Center fully supports the evaluator's call, and we propose that a progress report in the implementation of this capacity building strategy and the development of a new World Heritage capacity strategy for the period 2025-2035 be presented at the next session of the World Heritage Committee, and that in a final draft of the revised strategy be made available at the 47th session, subject to funding availability, of course, and all this is reflected in the draft decision that you will have to examine. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Director. And dear colleagues, I would like to now give the floor to the representatives of ICROM to provide further information on the implementation of the current strategy and the World Heritage Leadership Program. You may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And let me also indicate how pleased we are to be making this presentation jointly with the Director of World Heritage. I think this shows the importance that the World Heritage Center is giving to capacity building now, and we are very much interested in continuing to work together, and we would like to emphasize partnership with the World Heritage Center, with the two other advisory bodies, IUCN and ICOMOS, on capacity building issues. In fact, I would say that many or most of the capacity building activities that are delivered in the World Heritage Leadership Program and more generally are delivered jointly with IUCN, with ICOMOS, with the World Heritage Center, and very importantly with diverse Category 2 centers which serve regional needs that are identified. As has been mentioned, the World Heritage Leadership Program is one of the key, let's call them flagships, of this capacity building strategy. And I would like to highlight also at this point the generous support that we have received from the Norwegian Ministry of Climate and Environment for this program. The first phase of World Heritage Leadership concluded this past year in 2022, and I'm very happy to say that we have moved forward now with a new phase of World Heritage Leadership for the coming years. But through this leadership program and through the first phase, we were able to create a strong foundation for capacity development. Next slide, please. Now, the World Heritage Leadership Program works to provide a baseline to reconcile World Heritage requirements with national and local heritage protection systems that are in place. Next slide. The program adopts an integrated approach to linking nature and culture, focusing on governance arrangements and promoting, in particular, people-centered approaches to conservation. And in addition, it aims to improve management practices for both heritage and sustainable development, which we just had a long discussion in the previous agenda item on. Next slide. The program operates in a structure where one part focuses on producing guidance and toolkits addressing on-the-ground challenges, which are then developed into learning content and curricula, which then can be used for capacity building activities to share and apply this content in the wider World Heritage community. Next slide, please. As has already been shown and discussed a little bit, we have developed a series of manuals, or we're in the process of developing a series of manuals. One of them, you all will recall that there was a separate manual for managing cultural heritage and a separate manual for managing natural heritage. And one of the aims of this program has been to join those together because of the linkages between cultural and natural heritage. So we're in the process of finalizing that, and also we're working on the disaster risk management manual, also with the same idea of creating a stronger link between cultural heritage and natural heritage. It's important for me to emphasize here, as I've already been emphasizing partnership, that all of these resource materials are being developed jointly and being produced jointly with 3 advisory bodies and UNESCO. Next slide, please. In addition to these manuals, we also have a series of toolkits, the first being the Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit 2.0, which is a management effectiveness assessment toolkit, and it's to help state parties to provide a self-assessment method to evaluate the current management status and to provide concrete direction for the next cycle of management planning. This will be released in the coming weeks, and there is also going to be a side event during this meeting on the 17th, that's Sunday at lunchtime, to help explain more this toolkit. So I would actually encourage all of you to come to this side event to learn more about this Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit. Next slide, please. There is also a second guidance and toolkit for impact assessment for in the World Heritage context, and this provides a step-by-step process for conducting impact assessments for World Heritage properties, and that's for large and small developments, to ensure that we can adopt informed decisions about various development projects. I know you are all aware of the fact that the World Heritage Committee is asking for more and more heritage impact assessments, and the fact is that we have tried to respond to that by providing tools and by providing this toolkit specifically to help all of you as states parties to the World Heritage Convention to actually be able to carry out those heritage impact assessments that are being required from you. There was also a side event on this. Had this presentation been made yesterday, I would have said please go to the side event today, but it took place already yesterday along with the wind energy guidance side event. But again, the idea is that we can disseminate this information to you, the states parties. Next slide. So these manuals are then paired with courses of varying durations, varying audiences and modalities, where we work directly with sites, utilizing site-specific contexts for our learning. I would also like to point out that I'm very pleased that we are working in diverse languages for our capacity building activities, and we have actually carried out courses and other capacity building in English, in Spanish, in Arabic, in French, and in Portuguese, and in some cases also at the national level, we've been working where possible with local languages where it is useful and where it is necessary. We have activities that are also designed to bring together academia and heritage practice, and we're doing that through something called the Heritage Place Lab, and to record and document site management practices through something that we call the Panorama platform, where we are listing solutions on that platform. So it's another place to look to see various case studies and solutions to some of the problems. Next slide, please. In collaboration with the Category 2 centers and the World Heritage, collaboration with Category 2 centers and World Heritage Leadership is also something that's been very important for us in the World Heritage Leadership Program. You will see in document 6 that all of the Category 2 centers have their own independent activities addressing specific needs in the region and particular themes, but that also we've been working jointly between the Category 2 centers and the Leadership Program on a number of capacity building activities. And this allows us to find a more diverse group of resource people, to allow us to, as I mentioned already, give capacity building activities in wider language coverage, and also to find more relevant case studies at a regional level. So this provides us with better content and better integrity for our activities. Capacity building needs to happen continuously, close to the site and in local contexts with connection to the participants. And this is why Category 2 centers have been established in all of the regions of the world. And although I won't be able to give you the long list of activities found in document 6, I do just briefly want to mention some of the activities that the Category 2 centers have been carrying out over this last several years. And I would also like to highlight that, yes, there will be another side event on the 16th, that's Saturday, where the Category 2 centers will jointly be able to present some of their activities more in depth than what I'm going to be able to tell you now. And in addition, some of the Category 2 centers also will have separate side events also, so you can look out for them. But to just mention a few, the Wildlife Institute of India is operating a center in Asia, and it's specifically focusing on natural heritage sites and promoting the nature-culture linkages through research and training. The Arab Regional Center for World Heritage based in Bahrain is also implementing activities on management planning, on nominations, on impact assessments, and also on linkages with underwater cultural heritage, as well as multiple projects to better involve the wider public with competitions and awareness-raising campaigns. With TRAP, the World Heritage Institute for Training and Research for Asia and the Pacific, located in China, has established a network called Herit App within the region, and they have activities focused on urban and rural sustainable development and heritage impact assessment. The African World Heritage Fund, which is based in South Africa, has been providing upstream support to state parties, including nomination training, conservation grants, and the pursuit of sustainable development agenda. And the Regional World Heritage Institute in Zacatecas in Mexico has been focusing on disaster risk management, sustainable tourism, and management courses. And the International Center for Space Technologies for Natural and Cultural Heritage in China, its short name is HIST, has been developing and promoting space technology applications to the monitoring and management of World Heritage sites. Now, the most recently established Category 2 center is the International Center for Interpretation and Presentation of World Heritage Sites, WIPIC. And they've been organizing a number of webinars and conferences on interpretation and presentation. So you can see details of this in document 6, and again, you can pay attention to some of the side events that are going to be taking place by these Category 2 centers in the coming days. Next slide, please. As the director of the World Heritage Center has already briefed the committee, ICROM looks very much forward to working with UNESCO on taking the results of the evaluation of the capacity building strategy and working forward with UNESCO and the advisory bodies on the development of a new capacity building strategy, taking into account these recommendations that you've heard already outlined by the director of World Heritage. As the capacity building advisory body, ICROM stands ready to design, implement, and improve all aspects of activities on capacity building and collaborate with global and regional partners. ICROM's size and flexibility allows us to be agile and adaptable to local contexts and needs, and we are fully committed to serve the specific needs of different sites, states parties, and regional centers in the conservation and management of World Heritage. The second phase of the World Heritage Leadership has now begun, and again, and this was actually based on another evaluation that was carried out specifically for the World Heritage Leadership Program. And the second phase is now underway, and we plan to work on the development of guidance for strategic environmental assessments, costed action plans, and a climate action toolkit. And we would like to encourage states parties to partner with us and to provide more capacity building activities to support and assist our heritage practitioners and site managers. Finally, just to conclude, I would once again like to thank the government of Norway for its support of World Heritage Leadership over this time, and to also thank the Republic of Korea, thank Switzerland, and actually most recently to thank Australia, who are now providing financial resources for us within leadership to continue our work on some of these various aspects, such as climate change. It's one of the things that Australia has been coming in with. So again, I would really like to thank all of you for your support, and we really do look forward to working more closely with states parties, with committee members, with states parties on capacity building activities in the years to come. So with that, I would like to turn the floor back over, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving us the floor.
Thank you very much for the informative presentation. So now I would like to ask the committee members and state parties if there are any comments or Sultanate Oman.
شكرا سيد الرئيس، والشكر موصول لسكرتارية المنظمة ممثلة بمركز التراث العالمي، وكذلك الهيئات الاستشارية المختلفة والمراكز المعنية من الفئة الثانية على تجاوبهم بتنفيذ القرارات السابقة لهذه اللجنة، مثل عرض تقرير عن جهودهم في تنفيذ استراتيجية بناء القدرات، وكذلك تقرير عن جهود مراكز الفئة الثانية. ما من شك لدينا أن هناك جهود مميزة في هذا المجال، وهي في النهاية تنصب لفائدة الدول الأعضاء. وقد استعرضت الأخت نائبة مدير مركز التراث العالمي قبل قليل العمل المميز لمنصة الإنترنت لبناء القدرات وتبادل المعلومات. سلطنة عمان تود أن تؤكد على التالي: أولاً، تكثيف الجهود مع الدول النامية والمحتاجة لتكوين خبرات مميزة في دولها في مجال بناء القدرات الخاصة بإدراج مواقع التراث العالمي nomination files وملفات إدارة المواقع site management وكيفية رفع التقارير الخاصة بهذه المواقع reporting. إلى آخر ذلك، وقد أكدت سلطنة عمان في اجتماع اللجنة 44 بأنه لا بد من استخدام نظام تدريب المدربين بما يسمى الكاسكيدينج موديل من أجل بناء نواة تدريبية لكل بلد. ثانياً، لا بد من الزيادة في الحقائق التدريبية training kits التي ستساعد الدول في بناء قدراتها واستخدامها، طبعاً تحت إشراف الجهة التي أعدت تلك الحقائب. وهنا لا بد من الإشارة بمركز التراث الإقليمي بمملكة البحرين على الجهود في هذا المجال، وأتمنى أن تستفيد المراكز الأخرى من بعضها البعض. ثالثاً، أوجه نداء إلى الهيئات الاستشارية المحترمة بأن لا نغفل من بناء وتدريب قدرات عالمية يستفاد منها في تقييم الملفات والاستشارات من مختلف المناطق، تكون جاهزة لتحل محل من يفارق هذه الحياة بعد عمر طويل إن شاء الله، حتى لا تنضب الخبرات وننتهي بشح في خبرات مجالات مختلفة. مرة أخرى كل الشكر والتقدير على جهودكم، وشكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. South Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. South Africa would like to take this opportunity to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for making available financial resources to enable the center to appoint an independent evaluator for the implementation of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy in line with the request made by the committee in its previous session. The independent evaluator, amongst others, recommended the revision of the strategy to take into account consideration the themes identified during the third cycle cycle periodic report. While this is important, we strongly believe, Chairperson, that the revision of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy should take into consideration the recommendations made by the state parties during the reflection period pertaining to the 50th anniversary. Key recommendations were made which can strengthen the implementation of the convention through the strategy going forward. Mr. Chair, South Africa, in collaboration with the African World Heritage Fund, hosted a capacity training course in Maloti Drakensberg World Heritage Site for young African experts, and one of these young experts from Botswana accompanied e-commerce expert on the recent technical evaluation visit to South Africa. More of these opportunities need to be created for African experts to participate in advisory body missions. Besides workshops and training sessions, continued efforts need to be made to utilize African experts on a more regular basis to increase their exposure and experience to the work of UNESCO and the advisory bodies. Mr. Chair, we cannot overemphasize the role and participation of African experts in developing African nomination dossiers from inception. A bottom-up approach and not a top-down approach should be utilized in our strategies and solutions to advance the promotion and protection of African heritage for future generations. Africa is very rich in natural heritage and cultural heritage, and it is important that we have experts from Africa. Dossiers should be developed at a national level to secure sustainable long-term conservation efforts. The work of the AWHF and other heritage-related Category 2 centers in implementing regional plan is where the convention is tangibly felt at grassroots level. The Africa Group, therefore, proposed amendment to the DR, one of which recommends the return to the practice of committee work Category 2 centers as implementing partners of the strategy, present to the committee a combined progress report of all the activities in implementing the convention. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, similar to those countries who have contributed to the center, we wish to express our appreciation to member states who have contributed to the fund, AWHF, in its continuous efforts to provide support to African nations and build capacity. The language acknowledging the state has subsequently been included in the DR. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Mali.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Permettez-moi tout d'abord...
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ok, merci. Monsieur le Président, permettez-moi tout d'abord de saluer les progrès réalisés par le Centre du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO, les organisations consultatives, les États partis, les centres de catégorie 2 placés sous l'égide de l'UNESCO associés au patrimoine mondial, ainsi que les chaires UNESCO dans la mise en œuvre de la stratégie du patrimoine mondial pour le renforcement des capacités. Je voudrais ensuite noter avec intérêt l'élaboration et la mise en œuvre de toutes les initiatives régionales et thématiques de renforcement des capacités, notamment dans la région Afrique. Pour le Mali, cela a permis la mise en œuvre d'un projet, l'état de conservation souhaité en vue du retrait de 3 de nos biens de la liste du patrimoine mondial en péril par le biais du Fonds du patrimoine mondial. Concernant l'avancement des activités des centres de catégorie 2 placés sous l'égide de l'UNESCO, nous reconnaissons les progrès réalisés, notamment ceux du Fonds pour le patrimoine mondial africain, qui, bien entendu, qu'il soit encore confronté à des défis de soutien budgétaire, a pu mener des activités importantes dans les 3 volets cruciaux pour la région Afrique, à savoir contribuer à une meilleure représentation des sites africains sur la liste du patrimoine mondial, contribuer à améliorer la gestion et la conservation des sites du patrimoine mondial en Afrique, inclure les biens du patrimoine mondial dans la croissance durable pour nos communautés locales. Je souhaite également exprimer toute notre gratitude à l'Arabie saoudite pour dont la contribution a permis d'effectuer finalement une évaluation indépendante de la stratégie, répondant ainsi à la décision 43/6 Bakou 2019 du comité. S'agissant de la conception de la nouvelle stratégie du patrimoine mondial pour le renforcement des capacités, je demeure convaincu que chaque partie a sa place dans l'équipe spéciale internationale conduite par le Centre du patrimoine mondial avec l'ICROM en sa qualité de conseiller principal pour établir des groupes de travail régionaux. tels que recommandés par l'évaluation de la stratégie du patrimoine mondial pour le renforcement des capacités. Au regard de la stratégie proprement dite, il serait nécessaire qu'on mette l'accent sur l'implication des jeunes et des femmes, comme cela a été recommandé à maintes reprises. À cet effet, il conviendrait d'encourager les États à multiplier les filières de formation spécialisées et à renforcer la collaboration entre les établissements d'enseignement et de recherche. Le Mali en appelle donc vivement au renforcement des moyens en vue de fournir un soutien aux États concernés par les états de conservation souhaités pour le retrait de leurs biens de la liste du patrimoine mondial en péril. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
السلام عليكم. نشكركم على التقرير المفصل الذي قمتم بعرضه وأود أن أعرض أن عملت المملكة العربية السعودية على دعم بناء القدرات، وأطلقت مجموعة من البرامج، وذلك إيمانا منها بأهمية بناء القدرات لحماية مواقع التراث العالمي، حيث بلغ عدد البرامج 20 برنامج. دعمت المملكة العربية السعودية عبر الصندوق السعودي لدعم الثقافة والتراث لدى منظمة اليونسكو الذي تبلغ ميزانيته 25 مليون دولار، ومن مشاريعه مشروع دايف انتو هيريتج، والذي استطاعت من خلاله تدريب 35 من مدراء مواقع التراث العالمي في الدول العربية. وسيتم قريبا الإعلان عن سلسلة ورش العمل التي في بناء القدرات لمدراء مواقع التراث العالمي في الدول العربية وأفريقيا. وسنعمل مع شركائنا على استمرار تدريب الكوادر للانتهاء من المرحلة الأولى من المنصة، والتي تستهدف 10 مواقع تراث عالمي، وسيتم إتاحتها في منصة افتراضية لحفظها للأجيال. كما تؤكد المملكة العربية السعودية على أهمية دور المركز الإقليمي العربي للتراث في البحرين، والذي ساهم في بناء القدرات في المملكة والوطن العربي، والصندوق الأفريقي في دعم بناء القدرات في أفريقيا. ونؤكد على دعم المملكة المتواصل لمشاريع بناء القدرات. ومرة أخرى نرحب بكم في الرياض.
شكرا جزيلا. India.
Thank you, Chair, for giving India the floor. India has noted with satisfaction the report presented jointly by the Directorate World Heritage Center and ICROM regarding the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy and a range of activities under various Category 2 centers. India appreciates the efforts of the World Heritage Center, the advisory bodies, and the Category 2 centers, and urges them to continue their efforts. India would like to emphasize the dire need for the capacity building, one of the crucial pillars among the 5 strategic objectives, the 5 Cs. We believe that capacity building should be a continuous initiative and be a long-term vision or strategy of the World Heritage Center, the advisory bodies, and the Category 2 centers. We have been repeatedly hearing about the concerns of many state parties that they are unable to submit the tentative list or nomination dossiers just because they do not have the internal capacity in terms of trained human resource to be able to take up the arduous task of preparing such voluminous documents and articulating the information as per the desired format. We also realized that once a property is declared the World Heritage, there is still a huge requirement for the capacity building of site managers and their stakeholders who are intrinsically connected to the property. If one evaluates the state of conservation reports minutely, perhaps one of the fundamental reasons that most SOC reports are short are from the point of view of their lack of capacity that dwindles a situation out of hand. By situation, one refers to conservation or management challenges faced by a property and the inability of the site managers or associated stakeholders to effectively mitigate that challenge. Various programs presented by Director World Heritage today and the role of the 3 advisory bodies, in particular ICROM, is very much appreciated. We would also like to thank the state parties who have funded various initiatives in this regard. Category 2 centers are also to be thanked for their contribution. I would in particular like to mention here the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun in India, perhaps the only Category 2 center for natural world heritage properties that is running professional programs for site managers in the region. Archaeological Survey of India, the nodal agency for world heritage properties in India, through its own Pandit Dindayal Institute of Archaeology, similarly is organizing courses for site managers of Indian cultural properties for conservation and management. We are in dialogue with and hopeful for a partnership with one of the advisory bodies to augment our continuing initiatives towards capacity building in India and the South Asia. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I give the floor to Mexico.
Thank you, Chairman. We don't have any intervention.
دولة قطر.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. State of Qatar values World Heritage, ICROM, ICOMOS, and IUCN efforts for submitting the progress report on the implementation of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy at this 45 sessions, which covered the period from August 2021 to May 2023. State of Qatar appreciate the World Heritage implementation of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy and the World Heritage Leadership Program, which aims to build the skills for the practitioners working through the World Heritage Convention. State of Qatar would like to thank and commend the Arab Regional Center of World Heritage in Bahrain for all their efforts in capacity building programs. Qatar also thanks World Heritage Committee and ICROM in highlighting that clear understanding of capacity building is recommended to define capacity building as the ability to manage and coordinate in the cultural level, whereby stakeholders engage in an evidence-based process to identify solutions for jointly perceived challenges, test the solutions, and transfer them into shared policies, norms, and standards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. Nigeria would like to appreciate the World Heritage Center for yet another comprehensive report. Let me start by relating the report to those presented to us earlier on item 5D on World Heritage Convention and Sustainable Development. In this UN Decade of Action for the Agenda 2030, Nigeria believes in multi-sectoral approaches, particularly within the scope of cultural and natural heritage sites and cultural and biodiversity conservation. And as stated yesterday by my delegation, a balance between economic development and ecological consideration is needed for equity in favor of states that are still being developed, in development. While therefore commending the Center for the remarkable achievement as reported, we urge that training and capacity building strategies should target integrated and coherent approaches for both the expert for building submission files as well as state managers in charge of management and conservation of the sites. On this note, I recall nomination dossier for the Lake Chad cultural landscape by Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. This submission emanating from the UNESCO BIPAL project emphasizes cultural preservation, sustainable livelihood, economic development, cultural conservation, social cohesion, and peace and security. While we are hopeful and striving for a quick resolve of this issue around the Lake Chad submission, Nigeria encourages the World Heritage Center to increase efforts for capacity building initiative that will see an augmentation in mixed submission, and that will also foster the spirit of sustainable development goals. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I give the floor to Japan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We also believe that training is the key to have more experts in Africa, as well as in Asia and also in SIDS. And in this context, I would like to express our appreciation to ICROM for the joint presentation today, and also for the activities that they have been conducting in conjunction with other evaluation bodies and also the center. And also, we would like to express our appreciation to Saudi Arabia for financing very important schemes already mentioned in this regard. And also, we would like to express our support for the statements made in this connection, particularly those from Oman, Saudi Arabia, Mali, and also Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I think we exhausted the state of the request from the committee members. We will go to the observers. Erlan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Ireland welcomes the report presented to us today and congratulates the Secretariat for all its excellent work undertaken as part of Decision 44-6. Ireland supports the ambition to develop a new World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy for the decade 2025 to 2035. Over the past 2 years, Ireland has focused on building capacity at national level and has also increased our support to the World Heritage Centre. We have been working on a national World Heritage Strategy specific to Ireland, which we hope to launch in the first quarter of 2024. This 10-year strategy includes a set of capacity building objectives and actions at local and international level. Recognising the constant efforts made by the World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies to keep all resource manuals up to date, Ireland welcomes this opportunity to reiterate our willingness to offer both technical and financial support to help update the World Heritage Manual on preparing World Heritage nominations. Recognising the importance of periodic reporting, Ireland made 2 voluntary contributions earlier this year to help the World Heritage Centre prepare for both the sub-regional and focal point meetings, to help ensure the development of an effective regional action plan and support its implementation. Finally, recognising the unique challenges faced by SIDS, Ireland is actively looking at how we could collaborate further with SIDS on capacity building initiatives, climate change, and on the protection of their cultural, natural and mixed properties. I thank you for your attention, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Switzerland.
Monsieur le Président, je souhaite remercier chaleureusement le Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour son accueil et tout le personnel qui travaille ici pour sa gentillesse. Laissez-moi tout d'abord présenter nos condoléances attristées au peuple marocain dans ces moments tragiques suite au tremblement de terre. Nous présentons aussi nos condoléances au peuple libyen pour la terrible catastrophe naturelle qui a frappé l'est du pays. La Suisse remercie l'ICROM, l'IUCN et l'ICOMOS, ainsi que le Centre du patrimoine mondial pour l'excellente qualité du travail fourni en faveur du renforcement des capacités pour le patrimoine mondial grâce à des cours de formation, des forums des gestionnaires de sites et des manuels sur la gestion des biens du patrimoine mondial. Je remercie aussi la Norvège, la République de Corée et bien sûr le Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour leur énorme soutien, sans lequel rien de ce qui nous a été présenté n'aurait été possible. La Suisse est particulièrement fière d'avoir contribué à l'élaboration de la boîte à outils de valorisation du patrimoine. Cette boîte à outils est le fruit d'un travail très vaste de recueil de bonnes pratiques dans la gouvernance et la gestion des biens du patrimoine mondial naturel et culturel de toutes les régions du monde. Plus de 160 professionnels travaillant dans les sites ont participé activement à ce projet. Je saisis donc l'occasion de vous inviter tous à l'événement de lancement qui aura lieu ce dimanche 17 septembre à 13h30 dans la salle appelée Hegra Room. Venez nombreux découvrir cette boîte à outils très utile. C'est seulement en nous appuyant sur le savoir-faire présent sur le terrain, avec l'expertise des organisations consultatives, que nous pourrons vraiment être le phare de la conservation du patrimoine. Cela est encore plus important face à la perspective des crises globales auxquelles nous faisons face maintenant. Les pays qui contribuent à ces efforts sont encore trop peu nombreux. Nous souhaitons donc inviter les États membres et les partenaires à fournir des ressources financières volontaires pour le renforcement des capacités. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you very much. Saint Vincent and Grenadines.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines welcomes the capacity building strategy of World Heritage, which seeks to build capacity in the various regions of the world in relation to World Heritage sites and prospective sites. We in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and certainly in other small states like ours, particularly welcomes this strategy document as we proceed to have sites inscribed on the World Heritage List. Training and technical assistance are certainly required to assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines in preparing our upstream process, preliminary assessment, and eventual dossier for our sites which are now on the World Heritage List. We certainly welcome this strategy.
Thank you very much. I see no comments or questions. So I invite you to examination of the draft decision. But before that, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendment on the draft decision.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of South Africa, which is supported by the distinguished delegations of Oman and Qatar. There are some revisions to few paras, starting with para 4 that you see on the screen. Takes note of the progress made with the implementation of the regional and thematic capacity building strategies and initiatives, the role of the Regional Category 2 Center in supporting the implementation of the Regional Action Plan for Africa 2021 to 2027, and calls upon states, parties, and all concerned partners and stakeholders, including the advisory bodies, ICROM, ICOMOS, and IUCN, to support and follow up on the implementation of the strategies and initiatives developed for each regional and thematic area. Para 5 stays the same. Para 5 is actually divided into two paras. So the para 6 is coming out of the previous para 5, and I will read both the paras. Para 5 says, thanks the governments of Norway, the Republic of Korea, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Switzerland for the continued financial support they extended to the WHCBS and the World Heritage Leadership Program. Also thanks the governments. We would like to change this term, the governments, to make it to states parties as per standard. Also thanks the states parties of the People's Republic of China, Japan, the Netherlands, Belgium, Norway, France, and the Sultanate of Oman for supporting World Heritage capacity building activities, notably in the African region. And further thanks those states parties who have contributed to the African World Heritage Fund, including Norway, South Africa, Uganda, Mauritius, Namibia, Germany, Burkina Faso, Azerbaijan, Serbia, France, United Arab Emirates, and Rwanda. Para 6 now reads as, encourages states parties and other stakeholders to continue supporting the implementation of the WHCBS by providing financial support and / or reinforcing the human resources of the institutions involved. After that, para 7 to para 12 stay as they are. Para 13 is revised, reiterates its appeal to states parties to contribute financial resources for the update of the WHCBS through earmarked contributions to the World Heritage Fund or by providing extra budgetary support to the World Heritage Center and the World Heritage related Category 2 centers for this purpose. Para 14 remains the same. Para 15 is revised. Further requests the World Heritage Center and ICROM to submit a progress report on the World Heritage-related capacity building activities and the revision of the WHCBS for examination at its 46th session. There is an addition of the last para 16, mindful that contributions by Category 2 centers to the implementation of the World Heritage Convention are not confined to capacity building, finally requests the Category 2 centers to submit a progress report on all the activities concerning the implementation of the World Heritage Convention by the World Heritage-related Category 2 centers presented as a specific agenda item during the 46th session of the World Heritage Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. Nos informa el Instituto Regional de Patrimonio Mundial de Zacatecas que solicitó la palabra como observador, pero parece ser que no se registró y queríamos apelar atentamente si se le puede dar la palabra en su calidad de observador. Es un centro de categoría 2 de la UNESCO y parece ser que no se registró su solicitud de intervención.
Thank you very much. Since we are examining the draft decision, we will give them the floor after the draft decision is adopted.
Gracias.
Nigeria.
Thank you, Chair. Nigeria is supporting this draft amendment. I don't know why our name is missing. Actually, we are part of it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you please clarify which amendment?
We are supporting the whole amendment.
Well noted. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I have an impression that we can probably support all of the amendments, but if you don't mind, if you can go by paragraph to make sure that we understand the entire context. Well, particularly on paragraph 4, I would like to understand the reason why they want to delete the one in red and propose the new one instead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ethiopia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Ethiopia would also would like to be registered as supporting all the amendments.
Thank you very much. So now we will move to examine the draft decision paragraph by paragraph. We can go to the top. So paragraph 1, we don't have any amendment to the paragraph. Can we adopt it as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 2, we don't have any amendment to the paragraph. Can we adopt it as it is? Mali?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est juste pour préciser que le Mali soutient le paragraphe 4.
So paragraph 2 adopted. Paragraph 3, we don't have any amendment to the paragraph. Can we adopt it as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 4, we have amendment to the paragraph. Do we agree with the proposal? Egypt, you'd like to clarify?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to add my country's name to the list of
of countries supporting the amendments, not only on paragraph 4, but to other amendments as well. Thank you.
So in reference to Japan's request for additional clarifications for paragraph 4, South Africa or Oman, or like to clarify this?
South Africa can clarify
Please
that we can make reference to a strategy that we just adopted earlier on, Chairperson. That is why we are proposing the deletion. Thank you.
Japan, does that answer your inquiry?
Well, sorry, I'm sorry that I'm a bit slow, but so what the proposal from South Africa essentially is that since we have already mentioned the strategy earlier, we don't need to repeat it again, but the South Africa wants to introduce a new element the suggested amendment into this paragraph. Is that the right understanding?
South Africa?
Thank you very much, Chair. If one reads the paragraph, it says takes note of the progress made with the implementation. And our clarification is that the strategy has just been adopted and there hasn't been progress that we have noted. Hence, we are saying that it needs to be deleted. Thank you.
Japan?
Okay, I understand. We have no problem. We support this paragraph.
Thank you. So that we can adopt the paragraph as amended, adopted. So we have paragraph 5. We have a proposal and we have amendments to the paragraph. Do we agree to this proposal? So the paragraph is adopted as amended. Paragraph 6, we have a proposal. Do we agree to this proposal? Madam Karabi Saudia.
Assalamu alaikum. We'd like to add our name to paragraph 6.
Thank you. So we adopt the paragraph as amended, adopted. Paragraph 7, there is no amendment. Can we adopt it as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 8, there's no amendment. Can we adopt it as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 9, we don't have any amendment. Can we adopt that paragraph as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 9, there's no amendment. Can we adopt the paragraph as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 11, or 11. There is no amendment. Can we adopt the paragraph as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 12, there is no amendment. Can we adopt the paragraph as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 13, we have a proposal. Do we agree with this proposal? Ethiopia?
Our names should figure in all, in the previous one, I think it's missing technical for the rapporteurs.
So we adopt the paragraph as amended. Adopted. Paragraph 14, there is no amendment. Can we adopt the paragraph as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 15, there is a proposal for minor changes. Do we adopt this proposal? Then we will adopt the paragraph as amended. Adopted. Paragraph 16, we have a proposal. Greece.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to add the name of our countries to the supporter of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Saudi.
We'd like to add our name to this paragraph 16, please. Yeah.
Thank you. Then paragraph 16 is adopted as amended. Now, dear colleagues, we have adopted the draft decision 45-C6 as a whole. Is there any objection? So since there's no objection, then we declare draft decision 45-6 is adopted as amended. We have a request from the floor and giving it to the Category 2 Center, Zacatecas.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. A nombre del Instituto Regional del Patrimonio Mundial en Zacatecas, Centro Categoría 2, bajo los auspicios de la UNESCO para México, América Central y el Caribe, agradezco al Centro de Patrimonio Mundial la invitación para participar en esta 45ª sesión del comité. Asimismo, nuestro reconocimiento al Reino de Arabia Saudita por la magnífica organización y gentil anfitrionía. Distinguidos participantes, es un gusto compartirles que después de recibir el resultado positivo de la evaluación de renovación de este instituto, se llevó a cabo el proceso de transición directiva para el periodo 2022-2026 y se diseñó un plan de trabajo conformado en estrecha colaboración con la Unidad para América Latina y el Caribe del Centro del Patrimonio Mundial, el cual establece, bajo la cooperación con el ICROM, la implementación de un plan de acción para fortalecimiento de capacidades en la subregión para el periodo 2024 y 2023-2024, atendiendo 3 temas de interés: gestión eficaz del patrimonio mundial, gestión de riesgos y evaluación de impacto. Me es grato informar que este plan ya se ha puesto en marcha a través de cursos, talleres, seminarios web y mediante acuerdos para la traducción al idioma español de los recursos del patrimonio mundial. El plan fue presentado a los países de la subregión en misiones de trabajo durante el primer trimestre del 2023, en las cuales además se actualizaron las estrategias de colaboración para la instrumentación de acciones que sigan fortaleciendo las capacidades en torno a la implementación de la Convención en México, América Central y el Caribe. Finalmente, informo que durante la 8ª reunión de coordinación de los centros Categoría 2 realizada en la República de Corea, asumimos con beneplácito el compromiso de albergar la próxima reunión en Zacatecas, México, a celebrarse en 2025 con el propósito de refrendar el liderazgo de nuestro país en el tema de patrimonio mundial y de contribuir a que los lazos de colaboración entre los centros Categoría 2 sigan fortaleciéndose. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. So, dear committee members, before we start examining our item 7, as you all know, the 5th edition of the World Heritage Site Managers Forum has started through a series of 3 online sessions as from 19th June until the 13th of July. and was followed by an in-person component here in Riyadh for the past few days and until the 15th of September. This capacity building event has gathered nearly 100 site managers from all over the world. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Ministry of Culture of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, represented by the National Commission for Education, Culture and Science, and the Heritage Commission, and to the UNESCO World Heritage Center, and to the ICROM IUCN World Heritage Leadership Program for organizing with such a great enthusiasm and success this forum. Thank you very much also to the ICOMOS as a partners of this event and to all who have made this event possible. I am practically pleased that this year again, both of the participants of the Young Professional Forum, whom we heard from yesterday, and of the Site Managers Forum, were able to meet and exchange during a full working session dedicated to the nature-culture interlinkages. So now, I will like to give the floor to Ms. Chanta Shukoma from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Please, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Excellences, membres du Comité de patrimoine mondial, la 5e édition du Forum des gestionnaires des sites de patrimoine mondial a réuni 105 professionnels impliqués dans la gestion des 92 biens du patrimoine mondial situés dans 65 pays. Les participants au forum remercient le Royaume d'Arabie saoudite pour avoir généreusement accueilli et facilité le forum en collaboration avec l'UNESCO, ainsi que pour son généreux soutien financier apporté à la composante à présentiel de 40 gestionnaires des sites de patrimoine mondial. La Convention du patrimoine mondial concernant la protection du patrimoine culturel et naturel, ayant récemment célébré son 50e anniversaire, a permis de rassembler les communautés et les peuples qui protègent le patrimoine culturel et naturel d'importance universelle. Il a également permis de célébrer notre diversité commune, mais également de partager les messages du patrimoine mondial pour l'humanité. Face aux multiples défis de notre époque, du changement climatique et de la perte de la biodiversité, en passant par l'urbanisation incontrôlée, les conflits armés et le surtourisme, les gestionnaires des sites du patrimoine mondial sont convaincus que le patrimoine mondial a plus que jamais un rôle essentiel à jouer en tant que vecteur de la paix, de durabilité, de dialogue et de stabilité, tout en défendant les principes des droits humains. Unis par des valeurs, une responsabilité et une fierté commune, les gestionnaires des sites de patrimoine mondial sont déterminés à travailler ensemble pour assurer l'inclusion et l'accès, pour développer et partager des stratégies innovantes et des expériences afin de conserver, protéger et mettre en valeur les sites de patrimoine mondial et d'en assurer la transmission aux générations futures. Le rôle central des gestionnaires des sites du patrimoine mondial sera déterminant pour la protection et la gestion de biens du patrimoine dans les 50 années à venir.
Now give the floor to Mr. Andrew Bowley from Papua New Guinea.
For the achievements over the past half century, inclusion on the World Heritage list has proved to be a substantial improvement within state parties in the protection of heritage, with a better coordination in territorial planning that has strengthened the management systems, enabling the effective implementation of management plans through increased connectivity and collaboration between various stakeholders. Some site managers have been able to secure additional financial resources and receive assistance in implementing cultural exchange and educational programs, conducting research and documentation. World Heritage site managers continuously endeavor to incorporate traditional knowledge and involve local residents and communities in decision-making processes for conservation and management strategies. A significant achievement of the Convention has been the successful conservation and restoration efforts to safeguard cultural and natural heritage in a sustainable manner. Several World Heritage Site managers have also made strides in promoting sustainable tourism practices by managing visitor numbers, implementing eco-friendly initiatives, and raising awareness about responsible tourism aimed at minimizing the impact on the environment, social resilience, and communities. Significant research and documentation have contributed to a deeper understanding of the World Heritage property, which has created the base for best practice transfer that goes beyond World Heritage. Several state parties and site managers have initiated multi-level cooperation, notably at trans-boundary properties.
Thank you very much. And the floor is for Christopher Waters from Antigua Barbuda.
Current challenges. However, participants would like to emphasize that many of the challenges that have been addressed to the committee from previous editions of the forums are persisting and affecting many World Heritage properties and necessitates action at the committee level to address impending consequences. Climate change impacts are becoming increasingly alarming at a global level, with World Heritage sites bearing the brunt of disasters and extreme events. Despite earnest efforts of state parties to implement measures and enact policies for climate mitigation and adaptation, localized measures alone will not suffice. Careful consideration is needed to ensure that the developments for climate action do not pose a negative impact on World Heritage, and a coordinated global effort is essential to yield substantial outcomes. Armed conflict threatens communities and remains a worrying concern. As these become increasingly complex, it is vital to build effective synergies with other conventions, such as the 1954 Hague Convention and its 2 protocols. World Heritage Site managers need more capacities for emergency responses and recovery measures. Unplanned development and encroachment incompatible with the conservation of the OUV continues to threaten the integrity and cohesiveness of World Heritage Sites, directly impacting their values and associated local communities' ways of life. Digital technologies has become a pivotal component in the conservation and management of World Heritage properties, offering innovative solutions not only for monitoring, but also data analysis and predictive modeling. While some countries have embraced cutting-edge technologies, many lack access to such digital resources. This disparity in technological capabilities is resulting in unequal levels of preparedness and responses to threats. Over-tourism poses a rising concern for numerous World Heritage sites, resulting in overcrowding, environmental harm, and degradation. To ensure the integrity and enduring sustainability of our World Heritage properties, it is imperative that we collectively address the challenges brought about by over-tourism. Reduced political will and financial support to protect cultural and natural heritage, multiplied with the limitations in establishing the appropriate authority of site managers within the management system's governance, has increased the vulnerability of World Heritage sites to respond effectively to the compounding negative impacts posed by the current challenges.
Thank you so much. الهنوف الرسن من المملكة العربية السعودية.
السلام عليكم. بصفتنا مشاركون في المنتدى الخامس لمدراء مواقع التراث العالمي، نواصل التأكيد على أهمية اتفاقية التراث العالمي ومنافع تسجيل هذا التراث التي تتماشى مع مسؤوليتنا المشتركة للحفاظ على القيمة العالمية الاستثنائية لممتلكاتنا من التراث العالمي. ونطالب بالمزيد من الالتزام من الدول الأطراف في دعم السياسات والبرامج التي تساهم في الحفاظ على المواقع وإدارتها. كما ندعو الدول الأطراف إلى الاعتراف بالدور المهم لمدراء مواقع التراث العالمي وتعزيزه كجزء لا يتجزأ من عملية صنع القرار على المستوى الوطني ومستوى لجنة التراث العالمي، آخذين بعين الاعتبار خبرتنا ومعرفتنا لتقييم السياسات وتحديث الإطار القانوني لحماية التراث الثقافي والطبيعي وإدارته في السنوات القادمة. كما ندرك أن كل موقع من مواقع التراث العالمي يواجه تحديات فريدة فيما يتعلق بحفظها وإدارتها تنبع من سياقه المحدد وعوامل عالمية خارجة عن سيطرته. وعلينا أن نواصل الحوار والتعاون فيما بيننا وعلى كل المستويات. ولمواجهة التحديات الحالية نحتاج إلى شبكة مستدامة لعقد اجتماعات منتظمة وتبادل المعلومات وضمان أفضل الممارسات. نؤمن بأن الحوارات بين مديري المواقع لن تؤدي فقط إلى تعزيز جهود الحفاظ على مواقع التراث العالمي التي لا تقدر بثمن، بل ستكون أيضاً بمثابة حافز قوي لتعزيز السلام، حيث يتم احترام حقوق الإنسان في جميع جوانب عمل اتفاقية التراث العالمي، بما في ذلك في عمليات الترشيح وجهود الحفاظ والإدارة وقرارات لجنة التراث العالمي. نحن بحاجة إلى آليات مستمرة لبناء القدرات تسمح بتعزيز التواصل وتوفير الأدوات المتنوعة والموارد الكافية التي تساعدنا على العمل مع الجهات العاملة في إدارة مواقع التراث العالمي والحفاظ عليها. نحن ندعو إلى الاستفادة من التقنيات والمنصات الرقمية لتبادل الخبرات، حيث أن استخدام التقنيات الرقمية لمشاركة الأدوات والموارد الجديدة مع مديري المواقع والجهات ذات العلاقة من شأنه أن يسمح بالوصول المفتوح إلى المواقع والتحديثات المنتظمة من مواقع مختلفة. إن ضمان الحماية والحفاظ الشامل لمواقع التراث العالمي يتطلب سد الفوارق التقنية وتعزيز الوصول إلى الأدوات المتقدمة للمراقبة. كما ندعو لجنة التراث العالمي إلى معالجة مسألة السياحة الزائدة في مواقع التراث العالمي، واتخاذ قرار فوري لتعزيز ممارسات السياحة المستدامة، بما في ذلك إدارة الزوار وتدريب القدرات والمبادرات الصديقة للبيئة. ندعو لجنة التراث العالمي إلى الاعتراف بثروة المعرفة والحلول المحلية التي يقدمها مدراء المواقع لحماية ممتلكات التراث العالمي ودعمها بالموارد المالية والتشريعات الكافية لإدارة المواقع بشكل فعال على مدار 50 عام القادمة. شكراً.
Thank you very much. For the first guard, when it comes to heritage conservation and management, on their messages that delivered on behalf of all site managers. So let's give them a big round of applause. So I saw that there's an observer who want to take the floor, but we will resume after our break at 3 p.m. So dear colleagues, now the session is over. See you afternoon.
Just to quickly make some announcement regarding side events to start now. We will have the opening of the exhibition and panel on diving to heritage, and this will be in Jeddah Historic Room. This project is supported by the Ministry of Culture of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It will be, and then we will have the space technologies for the preservation of world heritage, which is organized by Copernicus Joint Research Center in Al-Asa Oasis Room, which will start also at 1:30, so in half an hour, in 15 minutes. And then we have IUCN, the side event IUCN in the Arab state regions, supporting natural world heritage and the green list in West Asia, organized by IUCN. And this is going to be in the advisory body space, Hegra room, and it will start now. We would like to remind you that the calendar of events is online on the webpage of the session, accessible to all. So feel free to consult it to attend the events. The host country has emphasized information on the way to access the side event space by passing by the lobby of Al Faisalia Tower and the footway leading there. So we hope you can all find your way to the side events. Thank you.
А как-нибудь вот так еще словно.
Таки да.
Как мы хотели микрофон что-нибудь сказать.